Hello, my audience. I'm reviewing the Spider-Man franchise from the Miles movies to the Maguire movies to the Raimi movies to the Andrew to the Holland franchise in one video for the price of one. So get comfy. Here's my review on the Spider-Man movies. I'm starting with the first one. I'm giving it 5 points out of 10. 2002 Spider-Man movie is trying to be a blockbuster. So a blockbuster while also trying to be an origin story and tying everything in together with the origin story, blah, blah, blah. It's basically trying to be Batman Begins before Batman Begins came out. So, I give it a 7. I want to give it a 7. I want to give it a 7 out of 10. But, realistically, I can't really say a whole lot that I liked about this movie other than the Spider-Man costume design brought to live action. The final costume in the movie he wears. Not the prototype costume. I like the final costume, but as much as I like the costume, it's a shitty movie, I think. Only by 5 points out of 10. And I thought it was kind of stupid that MJ gets turned down by Peter because of the stupid Uncle Ben's catchphrase. Was great power comes great responsibility. But don't worry, they save it for the sequel, them to end up together at the end of Spider-Man 2. So what was the point of him getting to not ever get on in bed with each other in the first place? What was that about? My guess is they didn't plan on making a sequel till Spider-Man 2. Is when they plan on making this into a franchise. But they didn't plan on with the first one, so... Spider-Man 1 gets a 5 out of 10. I give Spider-Man 2 a 5 out of 10. That's the one with Doc Octopus character that Spider-Man fights. The first one was Green Goblin, played by Willem Dafoe. He plays Green Goblin again in Spider-Man 3 No Way Home, the Holland's verse. But he doesn't wear the dumb Power Rangers mask, even though he's scarier without it on. It's just Willem Dafoe smiling, giving evil grins, more scary than the Power Rangers mask that he wore in Spider-Man 1. So I give Spider-Man No Way Home a better movie than Spider-Man 1. I give it a 5 out of 10, Spider-Man No Way Home. It's better than Spider-Man 2 and 1 as a 5 out of 10 points. So far, that's 3 I reviewed for the price of 1 video. That movie, Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man 3 with Holland's verse, is just nostalgia. When I say that, that's just the marketing and the plot that the plot focuses on, nostalgia, with multiverse shenanigans, cosmic events, and bringing old cast familiar faces, playing characters again from their runs and shit. Now I'm going to talk about Spider-Man Homecoming. I give it a 5 out of 10. That's the one with Keaton's the Vulture. And he has a short-lived love relationship with Vulture's daughter because he fucks it up in the end because it stopped the Vulture instead of taking the daughter on prom because he just has one gig that he needs to do in his retirement. So why is Peter doing this, stopping the Vulture? You know, he just has to do still one thing to retire for. Um, I'm kind of not on Spider-Man's side. I'm more on the Vulture side. I think Spider-Man just is like this because he wants to be an Avenger and prove himself to be an Avenger member. So why does he turn it down? Oh yes, because he thinks it was a test by Tony Stark. It wasn't really a promotion. For real, he did turn down. Because he thought it was a test. And he was dead wrong. What a retard. Peter's become. And for some reason in Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man 2, Holland's Peter doesn't want to be Spider-Man for some unexplained reason. Unclear. He's on PTSD over being Spider-Man for some reason. I don't know. Not really explained. And it's also not really explained why his spider sense doesn't work all the time. He just needs to listen to it and believe it, like Pixie does. Face trust in Pixie dust, and you'll fly to Neverland. Is that who the Spider-Man's become? Peter Pan? Sorry, I hate the Spider-Man so much movie. I give this a 5 out of 10, and Homecoming a 5 out of 10. Spider-Man 2 to Homecoming sequel, a 5 out of 10. And the third one gets a 5 out of 10, it's Holland's Run. I need to play something more positive talked about now. Because my blood pressure skyrocketed through the roof. I know. I'll talk about Miles' movies. I give both of them, Miles' stories, a 10 out of 10. This is my review on the Spider-Verse movies. So, let me break it down. Go into spoiler territory of these movies. So, part one of Miles' story, the Spider-Verse movie called Into the Spider-Verse, is actually a part one story of Miles' story. Because Miles' story continues on with his whole story continues, ties back to his origin story, gets expanded on in the sequel Across the Spider-Verse, while telling its own unique story. While ending on a cliffhanger on the Miles getting in the wrong dimension. Specs on Earth 42 it looks like an evil duplicate version of himself from that universe. That's become the Prowler. Miles Morales is the Prowler. He makes a Prowler version of Miles, of himself, and he's already Spider-Man across, and O'Hara, and this team of Spider-Verse people who are supposedly meant to be Spider-Man, but Miles isn't because the Spider-Verse that bit him, the spider that bit him in Spider-Verse 1, didn't come from his dimension. It came from a different dimension supposed by somebody else to be given powers. And that's why we saw that, and actually makes sense, because due to the evidence we saw visually, that would make sense why I thought it was a visual flaw at first, seeing Spider-Verse 1, but after seeing Spider-Verse 2, I realized, wait a minute, they planned this. the story, basically, because that would explain why Miles' spider is glitching a little like Peter and Gwen did in Spider-Verse 1 before the spider bites Miles. When he's crawling around the cans and onto Miles right before biting him, it keeps on glitching in and out of reality. That's probably why, because it was not from that reality. It was from Earth 42 reality. And that's probably why we see Earth 42 constantly foreshadowed in the events of Spider-Verse 1 when a number lands off the sign it and on the floor, it's Earth is in the shape of 42, number 42, and the little ball the that was supposed to be like a that looks like a remember um the Earth 42 was also glitching in the opening and what looks like be like a little raffle ball shaped of. And remember, Miles said he only got the opportunity to go to the school because he won the raffle. And it looks like the raffle was number of 42. So, what if this Miles never went to a better school and instead stuck behind his grades and got in trouble? But I don't know. Man, I'm trying to figure out what led him to become the Prowler in this reality at the end of Spider-Verse 2. Because that's where the cliffhanger ends on. What led this Miles become this version of the Prowler? And how far gone is the Smiles? And how is it going to go down with our Miles? This outcome of how he gets out of this problem of being on the wrong Earth and tied up against Miles Morales from that Earth. And it looks like Gwen point to get a team to go save Miles, but will she be able to reach him in time before team reaches Miles? I don't know. It's like a lot of questions that could be unanswered if we don't get a third one. But I enjoy the story so far of Miles' story of Part 1 and Part 2 of a Spider-Verse saga. I enjoy Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse. I don't know which one I like more, Spider-Verse 1 or 2. It's tough. I think Spider-Verse 2 more a little bit. And I like how Andrew Spider-Man makes a cameo in Spider-Verse 2 in the background when Miguel was explaining canon that we see Peter Spider-Man from played by Andrew Garfield the events of Amazing Spider-Man 1. That's a little interesting. So, is he going to play a role in the third Spider-Verse movie? The next one with Miles? I mean, that would be cool if he helped Miles out and lent a helping hand. And that would be his cameo against this. He could be one of the people that rebels against the Spider Society. And that also could be the Spider-Man that's on Earth 99 that Miguel here was referring to, calling him an idiot. Probably because he helped Hollins out from the events of No Way Home. So, I love this movie franchise, the Spider-Verse saga. I give them both a 10 out of 10. Now I'm going to talk about Spider-Man movie called Spider-Man 3 from 2007. I give that a 10 points out of 10. I liked it as much as the first three Batman movies with Keaton and Val. This movie has something about it that's magical and gives it that Marvel magic. Comic book magic this gets. I love the redesign of the black symbiote, Raimi's take on the symbiote suit. On it looks like how it looks on Peter and how it looks on Eddie Brock Venom, who he becomes in the Spider-Man 3. And I like his reimagined take on Spider-Man's origin story of how he gets his powers and his motivation for being a villain to save his daughter. And I like Spider-Man becoming a big asshole due to the powers of taken over by the symbiote. He becomes an unlikable, obnoxious prick that's more brooding and violent as Spider-Man and less quippy. Jokey with insults and attitude he has more of, and negative attitude, unhinged and stuff. But when he's red and blue suits fighting, he's funny, heroic, and quippy when he needs to be. So I love him as red and blue suit Spider-Man, also as black suit Spider-Man. I like how they show different persona sides of the character. I love how Spider-Man in his regular costume has all of his best character traits. And I was showing out in when he's in black suit getting taken over, it shows all of his worst character traits, his anger and his anger issues that he has built up. And I love how the black suit feeds into it, and I love how the black suit makes him more powerful and overpowerful than before. And also makes him more crazier than before, deranged crazy a bit, and irrational, was feeding into his anger and stuff. Each time he puts the suit on, the longer he has it. I love that shit of this script. Spider-Man 4 should have happened with Maguire. I'm sad he didn't, because it would have been nice to see a follow-up to this movie. And Andrew, Spider-Man I'll talk about last of this video. Maguire's Spider-Man, when he's in a relationship with Mary Jane, is first sweet and romantic for a short period of time, till he gets the black suit. Then he gets dumped by Mary Jane while wearing the black suit. Then he actually beats the shit out of Harry and disfigures him permanently by throwing a pumpkin bomb at with webbing it back at him after he wins the fight against Harry, which leaves him a brutal half disfigured face that's been burnt half alive. It now disfigured as fucked looking a bit. So when Harry's asked by Peter for help to save MJ, Harry turns down Peter because he's rightfully pissed at Peter. And also he blames Peter for killing his father. And so Peter gets overpowered and overcome by Sandman and Venom because he's not enough powerful enough to stop them himself, even though he tries. So this one, they look like they're going to get the drop on, they get the moment to take him out for good. However, he comes to his aid, throws a pumpkin bomb at Sandman, and helps out Peter and joins the fight with them. And they make a good dynamic duo superhero team up in the final battle. It is kind of sad how Harry sacrificed himself to save Peter from getting stabbed to death like his father did with the glider, and he gets stabbed by Venom's he gets stabbed by Venom with the glider, and because he meant to stab Peter, but Harry jumps in the way and saves Peter. I like the goodbye that Harry had with Peter, as Harry's clinging to life and just wants his closest friends to stay by him till as he selects his body. And I like the final words that are given by Harry, and calling Peter his best friend again, and see him as his friend again. I like the shot of Peter coming to see MJ after Harry's buried, and it ends with them giving a sad look of regret while dancing together slowly, leaving on an abrupt note if they can work things out romantically, with each other or what. So, I like this movie, Spider-Man 3, as a 10 out of 10. Now, I'm going to talk about Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man movies, and I give Spider-Man Amazing Spider-Man 2 and The Amazing Spider-Man from 2012 flick both the same points. 10 out of 10 points. I love both of these movies. I love the reimagining of the origin story by Andrew Garfield, and I love how it ties into the sequel and expands on the lore from the Ultimate Universe comics of Peter Parker's origin story and brings some of that lore from live action. How it's the blood, how basically it's the DNA mixed with Peter's blood from the spider bite is what really that gave him his powers and why it was able to work on him but nobody else, because the blood in the spice has some of Peter's father's DNA. So that's pretty cool. We find out the events of Spider-Man 2. And I like how Spider-Man 2 is teasing at a Sinister Six coming that we never got for the Amazing Spider-Man 3. But it's set up beautifully in this two-part epic story. And we never got who was that mystery man always recurring in the shadows with that creepy old man voice. Who was that Sinister Six, putting the Sinister Six together against our heroes, Peter Parker, Spider-Man? We'll never know, because this run got canceled, cut short. Yeah, that sucks. I'm still hurt about it. Anyway, I give The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Amazing Spider-Man 10 out of 10, and 10 out of 10 both get. I approve these movies. These 3 Peter movies and Miles movies. I love all of those ones, the last ones I talked about. So that's my review on the Spider-Man franchise. With Peter, all the Peters, and 1 Miles from the Spider-Verse movies. I'm trying to think what I should call this title of this video. I can't call it Spider-Man. I'm going to call it something. Just put Spider-Man's title up. I don't know what it's going to be called. Because I don't know if I can put all the... It would be kind of long if I put like each franchise in the title screen, and that would be too long. I don't think I could fit it. Will it let me? I don't think it would. So I'm going to try to call it something else. Okay. Bye, my audience. Like this video, subscribe to my content. Goodbye, good night, and good morning, wherever you watch this. If it's morning, good morning. Sayonara, toodles, okie dokie. Have a nice day.